They told us it was over, that heaven had spoken its final words at Fatima, that the third secret had been revealed in full, that no more truth remained buried beneath the altar of history. But heaven does not lie still, and neither does the Spirit that moves through the hearts of the chosen, especially when the time is now. In the silence of Castel Gandolfo, as the sun cast golden light across the shoulders of Pope Leo XIV, the bells tolled not only for Mass, but for a turning of the age. He stood beneath the same sky that watched Luisa, Francisco, and Jacinta tremble before the Queen of Heaven. And though no one dared say it aloud, the silence between the words whispered louder than the homily. A shift was happening. Something ancient was stirring beneath the Vatican stone. When Cardinal Luis Tagle was quietly named Bishop of Albano on May 24th, most thought it was a ceremonial move, a gentle elevation, a pastoral nod. But those who watch with spiritual eyes knew better. For Albano is more than a title. It is a gate, one of the 7 seas that surround the sacred center. And in prophecy, gates always open before the flood. He had been chosen to receive something. On July 13th, precisely 107 years after Our Lady's most fearful revelation at Fatima, Pope Leo stood again, this time at St. Thomas of Villanova. His voice trembled as he spoke of war, of pain, of the forgotten ones. But beneath his words, there was a current, a hidden pulse, as if the weight of something unseen pressed against his heart. And then he left. To the convent, to the cloister, to the poor Clares, those who speak only in silence. And there, something was passed, not in ink, but in vision. What was it that they showed him? Or was it what he already knew? The third secret of Fatima was hidden for a reason. Not to deceive, not to suppress, but to wait. To wait until the Church was standing again on the threshold of betrayal. Until Rome began to mirror the trembling of 1917. Until shepherds once again debated the shape of truth. And now, that hour has come. Cardinal Tagle, the gentle voice from the There shall come a time when Rome wears a crown of light, but her eyes shall be dark. The man who walks in white shall speak with a tongue not his own, and the walls of the city shall cry out, not with blood, but with silence. These words were never spoken in public until now. Why now? Because in the heart of Leo XIV, something broke open. He walks with dignity, with compassion, with the robes of tradition returned to him. But behind his calm eyes is a man who has seen. He carries the burden of one who knows that the storm no longer waits beyond the horizon. It is already within the gates. And this is why the Latin Mass returns, not to please the old, but to anchor the soul of the Church before it's pulled away. This is why the vestments shimmer again with gold, why the Gregorian tones echo through the corridors, not nostalgia, preparation, because something is coming. The October Synod will speak of ecology and justice, but heaven is watching what is not said. It is not the climate of the earth that groans, but the climate of the soul, and in that silence, Lucifer plans. Cardinal Tagle has begun to reveal fragments, carefully, subtly, not in proclamations, but in patterns. In his homily at Albano, he whispered a line untranslated by the press: "To those who speak without the Spirit, the gates will not open, but to those who weep with the Lamb, the book shall be unsealed." What book? What gates? What did he mean when he spoke of the book with 7 echoes, hidden in the dust beneath the fisherman's ring? Some now say the third secret was never 1 scroll, but 3 parts. Only 2 were revealed. The final was left in verbal code, passed only to those who would carry the burden without speaking too soon. And Pope Leo has begun to speak, not in words, but in signs. He visits the police. He warns of injustice. He blesses soldiers. He speaks of children of war. He weeps before nuns who have not spoken to the world in 40 years. Why? Because the Church is at war and does not know it. Because the final line of the secret is not a prophecy, it is a command. To the bishop in white, when the silence reaches your doorstep, speak. The time of stillness shall end, and the hand of Michael shall no longer be restrained. He has spoken not to the world, but to Tagle, and now Tagle to us. He who was once mocked for his tears now speaks thunder behind his kindness. And as he unlocks what was sealed, the earth stirs. There are those in Rome who tremble, not at the devil, but at the truth. Because once the final secret is spoken, there is no turning back. The lines between shepherds will harden. The wheat and the tares will rise together, and the Church will walk the path of her Lord, not in triumph, but in crucifixion. That is why it was hidden. That is why it is being unlocked. Only now. Because now we are ready to bleed. The bells of St. Peter's will ring. The world will not hear, but the heavens will. And when they toll again, it will not be for warning, but for judgment. Pray for Tagle, for Leo, for the ones who still sleep. The final word has not yet been spoken, but it is close. It is very close. And when it comes, it will shake even the stars. Do you feel it? There are whispers inside the Vatican that not all bishops kneel at the same altar, that beneath the incense and silence a hidden war has long been waged to fracture the bride of Christ from within. They do not roar, they do not curse, they bless with empty hands. They smile in Latin while quoting truth without spirit. For Satan has learned, the deadliest wolves wear stoles. Long before Pope Leo XIV stepped onto the balcony, names were spoken in secret. Lines were drawn, not between politics, but between those who believe the Church must suffer and those who would rather see her conform. And now, their storm is arriving. This October Synod is no dialogue, it is a battlefield. While the papers speak of climate and listening, behind closed doors, the identity of the Catholic Church will be laid on the altar, and Lucifer will watch. Cardinal Tagle knows. He has seen the Lamb bleeding on Vatican marble while compromised voices sing his name. He has walked ruins where sacredness was burned. He remembers what happens when the Church forgets her cross. And Pope Leo? Not naive. He may wear tradition's robes, but he knows the true danger is not progress, it is forgetfulness. That is why he reopens wounds, why he meets the hidden ones in cloisters. He is summoning the memory of the bride, the memory of Gethsemane, of Calvary, of the garden before betrayal. This is not about liturgy, not about politics. It is about whether the bride will follow the crucified Christ or follow a shepherd who offers comfort without the cross. a resurrection without death, a Pentecost without the upper room. But the third secret warns, there can be no crown without thorns, and no glory without fire. That fire is now here, not the wrath of men, but the purification of God. It will burn away what is false until only what is eternal remains. The signs are already upon us, earth trembling, bishops dividing, not in ideas, but in spirit. The smoke of Satan, once whispered by Paul VI, now thickening around the altar. And in the center stands Pope Leo. And Tagle may hold the scroll, the final one, the one never meant to be read, until now. Sister Lucia once said, "It will be very sad for everyone." And yet, heaven is now speaking. This is not just reform, it is revelation. There will be betrayals, there will be false peace, false miracles, fallen shepherds. The world will rejoice, but the faithful will mourn. But fear not, for in that morning the great ones shall rise. You will know them not by title, but by the fire in their eyes and the wounds on their hearts. They walk among us now, unseen, ordinary in flesh, divine in purpose. And when the bride begins to fall, they will catch her, radiant, broken, faithful. The purification is not her death, it is her wedding veil. And when the trumpet sounds, not the trumpet of media, but of heaven, the world will see the church not triumphant, but crucified. And in that crucifixion, they will finally understand who she is. But now is the time of shadows, of testing, of silence before the cry. You must choose, not with words, but with your soul. Will you recognize the true church? When she is stripped of beauty, when she is mocked, when she is bleeding? That is why the secret was hidden, because only the faithful in fire would understand it. Now that it has begun, prepare not your mind, but your altar. The bridegroom comes, not with lilies, but with a sword. And when the dust settles, only the crucified church will remain. And that will be her glory. He who has ears, let him hear.